Okay, so I'm about to start the fitness and healthy eating Q&A, and I'm doing it sideways so that I can upload it to YouTube later for you guys to refer back to. As I mentioned before, I'm doing these in order of kind of how they make sense, so it's not jumping around. So we're going to tackle the workout stuff questions first. So the first question is whether I've always been in shape. The answer is no. I actually didn't start working out until college. I never played competitive sports in high school or anything. I went to a huge high school in Austin. It was super competitive, and I'm just not very athletic. So when I got to SMU, I randomly started running. The dorm I lived in was directly across from a soccer field with a track. I just started running, and I'd run at night because it gets pretty hot here in Texas. And I really enjoyed that for a while, and I did that for several years, and it kept me in shape and all that good. But as with everything, there are always workout fads, and so I did that, and then of course there were like workout classes and various things that I wanted to try, and just sort of like went off and on. So I hadn't really found anything that I could stick to. And so for a few years, I wasn't as in good of shape. I was also eating very poorly, so while I did work out pretty often over the last 10 years, my diet didn't change until just a year or two ago. The next question is, how did you get yourself initially motivated to start BBG and spin, and how do you stick to it? I'm gonna start with spin. So whenever Flywheel arrived in Dallas, I want to say 4 years ago, that's when I first discovered it. And I went to classes with my friends. It wasn't something I did really often, because honestly, I just thought I sucked at it. Like, my scores were so low. My friends were always able to like get off the bike and be able to do the classes better than me. I've sort of always, since Flywheel has existed in Dallas, I've sort of always done Flywheel. But for a while, it was more of just like an off and on thing. What inspired me to start BBG was actually falling into the very big black hole of Instagram. I don't know how I saw it for the first time, but the hashtag. Search the hashtags on Instagram, like BBG community, BBG progress. It is so inspiring. It's real people showing their before and afters. And so many of the people, the transformations are unreal. Like, you just don't even think that's possible. So I thought, why the hell not? Why not give it a shot? So I just went on her website and ordered the first 12-week guide, ordered enough equipment for at least the first 5 weeks, just to make sure I liked it enough to keep going before buying everything else. I started it, and honestly, I have not stopped since I started it. And I started it May last year. Now, I should tell you that her guide recommends that you follow the healthy eating guide as well, which I did not do. This day, I'm not doing that. I'm just following the workout guides. And it's worked for me, although I'm sure I'd see better or faster results if I did both. But for me, I just was worried that committing to two kind of intense things, like having a meal plan, but also doing this rigorous workout, would prevent me from sticking with it. And I wanted to make sure I really stuck with it and gave it a real shot. Somebody asked, how do I stick to those workouts? And does it take a lot of self-control, or does it come naturally? I would say a little bit of both. Like, I obviously have to set my alarm every morning and put it on my calendar and really make sure that I get up in the morning, and that takes self-control. But it also is sort of just become my schedule now. I don't really think of it as a chore anymore. It's just part of my everyday routine. Like, if I wake up and I don't work out, I feel like I haven't started my day. Does that make sense? Next question, what are your main motivations for working out? To feel better, weight loss, maintenance? So when I started BBG, it was definitely toning it up. And while losing weight wasn't the ultimate goal, I think why would you do a workout like that if you didn't want to trim a few inches or lose a few pounds? But another thing that definitely motivates me to keep doing it, I will say the blog has a big effect on that. I mean, seeing yourself in outfit photos every day, I feel good and look good in my clothes, which is, I feel like, something a lot of people want. And so that's definitely a big motivator for me. This question is, how long have you been doing BBG now? And how long did it take you to start seeing results? So we're getting close to the year mark of when I started BBG. But like I said, I'm not following the meal plan. So there are times when I have gone totally off the wagon with food, which makes the entire experience less effective. So there are times where I look really great, and there are times where I don't. I first started BBG, I started seeing results in 4 to 6 weeks. But when I did start it, I was trying to be really good eating as well. Compare the photos from the pre BBG workout to now. I mean, it is kind of a crazy transformation. At the time, the week week by week photos from back then, you don't feel like there's a lot happening. But now that I have a lot to look at, it's definitely obvious. Next question: have I lost weight doing BBG? I have lost about 8 pounds. And as I keep doing it, I'm losing more doing BBG 2.0. Try not to get caught up on the number. I don't look at the scale very often because you're gaining so much muscle with this program. You have no idea. It is so challenging. While I have lost weight, I've definitely gained weight in muscle. Absolutely. Next question is, did you buy every piece of specific equipment for BBG? I don't really want to buy everything. Wondering if you have any alternatives or suggestions. As I mentioned before, I bought quite a few of the things that were required for BBG1, but I waited to buy some of it, like the Bosu ball and things like that. I wanted to make sure that I was actually going to stick to the workout, and I didn't want to invest a bunch and then just have it sit in my garage forever. Considering doing BBG and you don't have a lot of space, and you don't have a gym membership, there are ways to modify the workouts, and she does provide those in the workout guides. If you buy the guides, it'll show you ways you can modify it without the equipment. For example, one of the things in BBG1 is doing step-ups with weights. As long as you have a chair or some kind of a bench or even stairs using steps, it will work. Another thing I do when I'm traveling and I don't want to like carry a jump rope with me, or they don't have one at a gym, is I do jumping jacks instead. So I modify it that way. Things I would recommend buying that I feel like you should have if you're going to do a little home gym: you definitely need a medicine ball. You definitely need at least one set of hand weights. Now, personally, I would recommend getting a bench. And I've actually linked this in my new section of the shop. It's fitness, all of my fitness stuff. As you get further and further into BBG, there are so many things you use the bench for, like different ab exercises, push-ups, decline push-ups, which suck. I just found I really needed that. What I ended up not needing that much, sometimes I use it, but mostly just for like box jumps, is like a stepper, like you'd see in those 80s videos. So don't get one of those. Just get a standard workout bench. I think the one I got was like $50. Like, it's not terribly expensive. But since we're on the topic of modifying workouts, there are things that I decided I didn't like and that were hurting my knees. Like, I don't know, tuck jumps. Those are the worst. If you find you also have knee pain, avoid things where you're going to put a lot of pressure on your knees. So there is a lot of jumping, but there are ways to modify things so that you're not doing instead of tuck jumps, I'll just do regular jump squats, and things that don't put as much shock into my feet and like shock my knee. So this next one's sort of an interesting question. Which do you think has made the biggest difference, flywheel or BBG? So I treat those as two completely separate entities. BBG is purely resistance workouts. The workout guide, it tells you to do LISS, which is low intensity steady state, I believe, and HIIT, which is high intensity interval training. And what LISS is basically doing cardio on your own. So I use flywheel as my LISS workout. But I don't have access to a treadmill, which is what you need for the HIIT workout because you're doing intervals on a treadmill. So really, I just do flywheel as all of my cardio. And I use the BBG workout guides, and it's now, since I'm on BBG 2.0, it's 4 days a week instead of 3, which is what BBG 1 is. And so flywheel is my cardio, BBG is all of my strength training, and that's what I do. Question: do you always do the LISS workouts, or do you just do the 3 resistance workouts each week? I always do the resistance workouts. I have never skipped one. But there are times, like I said, that I have to modify, like when I travel. And there are times and weeks and travel times where I don't have time to do, or don't have access to a gym or a flywheel or something like that. And so I'll try and do some form of cardio, like walking. Like Jess and I walked so much in Japan. If I'm going to give up one, like if I have to pick and choose what to do during the week, if I don't have time for everything, I always do the resistance workouts. And the reason being, not because it's any better or whatever than flywheel, it's just that I'm worried that if I skip one, my muscles are going to relax and I'm never going to be able to finish the next. But generally, with BBG 2.0, the BBG resistance workouts are 4 times a week, and then I'll do flywheel 3 times a week. This sort of leads into the next question, but so some days I double book myself. So like I'll have to do BBG in the morning, and in order to fit in flywheel, I have to do it that night. I'm sure it seems a little extreme, but I do not do them back to back. Somebody asked me if I do that. I know it's sort of a pain to have to shower twice, and I think I would truly die if I tried to do BBG legs and then go to a flywheel class immediately following. I have to let my muscles like recover throughout the day. Another thing in the guides that Kayla says do not do is do not do them back to back. She doesn't care if you do them the same day, but you need to do them at different times. Somebody asked if I've ever done Soul Cycle before and thoughts on the differences between them. Yes, I have. There are a few differences between the two. Soul Cycle, you are riding to the beat of the song, and every class that I've taken, it has been incredibly fast-paced. It's very hard to keep. Soul Cycle, you're almost always out of the saddle, which I don't know if you read my blog post about Flywheel maybe a month or two ago, but that is one of the hardest things for me. A couple of other differences, while they do use resistance every once in a while, it's really mostly just fast-paced, light resistance, and there are no scores. There's nothing to keep track of how well you're doing. Like, you can't see what your score is at the end of class or how many calories you've burned, which is something that I've come to obsess over with Flywheel. I am a super competitive person by nature. Even if I suck at something, I want to be the best at it. I love that Flywheel gives you a score, and there's an app, so you can see all of your previous scores from various classes, how many calories you burn, rank in each class. It doesn't show you everybody's names, but it'll show you where you rank and what order you were in the class. I just love seeing those numbers so that I have something to work towards and work harder the next time. I've really enjoyed that part of Flywheel. And now with Flywheel, also another difference is that Flywheel is a very interval-based workout. So like for one song, a slow song, you may be trudging through what feels like really heavy mud at a really high torque / resistance. And then the next song may be incredibly fast paced and you're racing everyone in class at like a very high speed. So you really get the best of both worlds. If you subscribe to my newsletter, we found an article recently, maybe a couple months ago, it's been a while, but it showed after a study that by using resistance, you're burning more calories. So Flywheel actually does burn more calories than Soul Cycle if you're doing the light resistance, like Soul Cycle teaches. And for all this stuff, you have a choice. So you can choose whether to turn up the torque or turn up the resistance or turn it down. It's really however you want to do the class. That's just my experience. Same note, I want to say I'm not an expert in any of this stuff. I'm not making any recommendations to you guys. Ask your doctor before you do anything. Sharing my answers to questions that y'all are asking about my workouts and what I've enjoyed and that kind of thing. So just keep that in mind. Somebody asked, do I get sore from doing Flywheel so much? It's hard to tell these days what is getting me sore. Is it BBG or is it Flywheel? Sort of getting used to the idea of just being sore every day because one part of my body is always sore and I've just gotten used to it. Sometimes it sucks. It also is a reminder that you kicked some ass doing a workout. So I sort of like the reminder, but as long as you're doing stretches and foam rolling, it helps alleviate that. Somebody emailed me asking about a knee injury and whether they should not do BBG or something else. If you have knee injuries, I would probably avoid BBG because at least with the leg workouts on leg days, there's always going to be jumping of some kind. Lunges, squats, box jumps, tuck jumps. You could probably modify it on your own and just take the leg workouts out and just do the arms and ab workouts and then do whatever you want for the other stuff. If you're considering buying BBG and you're worried about knees, if you have knee problems or joint pain, I would not recommend it if you have that. Told by quite a few people, and again, I'm not an expert, I don't know anything, but I've been told that spin is a great workout if you do have knee problems. I would ask whoever's doing your physical therapy or your doctor or whoever helps you with your knee problems, ask them what they recommend. And somebody emailed me also and said, at 57, BBG is a bit tough for me. Any other workouts that might work if you're not in your 20s? One workout that I always really enjoyed, but I did sort of get burned out on it, was bar class. And that's a great way to tone up. It really exhausts each muscle group. It's like a 55-minute class. I always loved Pure Barre, so you could check that out. For more low impact stuff, Pilates is great. My mom loves yoga. She also loves Pilates, but she's such a big fan of yoga. Yoga isn't my favorite thing. I have taken a few classes with her, and they're not the easiest. There are moves that I found particularly difficult, so it's worth trying. She asked if I'm still doing the BBG workouts outside and in my garage. She says, I feel self-conscious doing the workouts in the gym because of all the jumping, but not sure where to do them inside my house. Good question, considering I live in Texas and it gets really hot here. Yes, I'm doing them in my garage. It's not hot enough yet where it's driving me inside. Last summer when it got hot, I did do the workouts inside and I would just move some of the equipment inside into the downstairs bedroom. I'd have to move stuff around for different workouts because there's not much space down there. But like I could do lunges down the little hallway. And I mean, you just need the same amount of workout space to do like ab workouts and push up workouts and stuff like that. So sometimes I have to move things around to make it work depending on what I'm doing, but it's worked for me so far. In new house, I am actually totally revamping my garage. It's a tiny one-car garage because it's from a 1930s house. I'm gonna turn it into a little gym that I can also park my car in. So I'm gonna coat the floor. I'm gonna have all my gym equipment hanging in there, and I'm gonna add a little air conditioning unit. I can continue doing my workouts in there. Sounds a little extreme, but I found a routine that I like, and I want to stick to it, and I don't want to join a gym. Question: what stretches do I do to combat soreness? And that really all depends on what I've worked out that day. The great thing about BBG is she includes stretches for each set of workouts. If you do buy BBG, you'll also, in addition to the workout guides, it comes with all of the stretches she recommends for leg day and for arm day and ab. Somebody asked me if I think Fitbits are useful. I actually had one. I think I got it for Christmas a few years ago, and I wore it for a while. And it does help keep you accountable. But now that my iPhone tracks my steps, I don't need the Fitbit anymore. And I don't know. I just never really care about wearing one when I'm doing BBG or flywheel. It was certainly fun to like see the number and be like, oh, 15,000 steps today. It didn't personally hold me accountable. It didn't help me. Next question: do you ever get discouraged and just not feel like working out or eating healthy? How do you push past negative self-talk? The answer to that is yes, whether it's because I'm really tired or I have a lot going on that week or I'm not feeling great. There are many reasons why I consider not working out or postponing it or procrastinating or eating like shit. What I've come to figure out is, for me, I have a harder time with the eating thing than I do with the working out thing. I just get the workouts out of the way. As I said before, it's just become part of my schedule. It's my routine. I don't think of it as, oh, I've got to work out this morning. I just get up and do it. I have no excuses. I said it before and I'll say it again. I have the least amount of self-control when it comes to food. I'm so good at eating good at home. Out with my friends, I'm gonna have queso. I'm going to drink a full-fledged margarita. Like, I'm not gonna eat a salad by myself. It's all about balance. Generally, when I'm feeling great, I'll eat pretty well at home. I'll make salads, I'll roast vegetables on the days, so that on the days when I'm not feeling great or I'm sick or I'm just having a bad week, I can afford to indulge a little bit and maybe order a pizza or eat something that I wouldn't normally eat. And so I just try and keep it balanced. Try not to think too negatively about anything. So with food, you just start again the next day if you end up having something bad. This is sort of a broad question, but if you could choose the top 3 things that really help general weight loss, what would they be? What I have learned is that food is the number one item on your list if you're trying to lose weight. It took me a really long time to figure out that I can't just eat macaroni and cheese and pizza and look good. That doesn't work for everybody. So definitely food, what you put in your body is going to make or break whatever you're trying to do. Obviously, the second thing is working out. Doing workouts that benefit what you're trying to do. So whether that's losing weight, cardio is a good thing for that. I wouldn't say I necessarily am a calorie counter at all. I mean, you can't not think about that when you're working out because you're burning the calories that you've consumed that day. And this last thing sort of goes back to food, but snacking is something that I have always been terrible at, just always eating at the computer all day. And I mean, we're so addicted to all the snack foods and sugar and chips and everything that's out there. And so Whole30 has really given me the opportunity to step back from that. Days that I'm ravenous, say I have a lighter salad, I may be hungry at like 3:30 or 4 and I end up having an apple or something. But I really, really try not to snack anymore. So I think I pretty much answered the BBG spin questions. If I see more that popped up on my Snapchat at the end, I'll address those. So I'm going a little bit out of order. I'm going to share some of my favorite products based on questions I got. So hold on. The questions I received was, what are my favorite outfits to wear to spin? Generally, I wear Lululemon leggings or flywheel, sturdy sports bra, and a Lululemon t-shirt or a flywheel tank. So this is the Lululemon tee that I have in like 100 colors. And then I have a bunch of different kinds of pants from Lululemon. All of this can be found on the shop, by the way, under the fitness category. And then somebody asked me about my favorite sturdy sports bras for Flywheel and BBG. You're probably like, what the hell is that? That looks terrifying. It's very sturdy. I first discovered it when I was at Luke's Locker a few years ago. Perfect for girls like me with big boobs. So it really holds them in place. I think the brand is, well, this says Brooks, but I thought it was Moving Comfort. Just kidding. This is the Moving Comfort bra. Apparently I have two different ones, but they look identical. But it's got really thick straps and just really holds. So I will say they are getting a little loose on me when I lose weight. My boobs get smaller. So I've been wearing a few Lululemon bras mostly. Are also linked on the shop. And there's one that's blue that I'm obsessed with that I featured in a blog post recently, and then black ones. Obviously, I have lots of black. As far as socks go, I have lots of Nike socks that I got on Finish Line recently that are really thick and great. And then I also love, I think it's Belega. I don't even know if I'm saying. Okay, yes. So it's Belega Hidden Comfort. And these are great. And they're really thick and cushiony and won't rub. Next question is whether I wear different shoes for BBG and running. And I know I talked about running on here. I don't run very often. More often than not, it's like walking. So when I do go on run/walks, I'll probably run for 20 minutes and then I'll walk the rest of the way. I'm not like a runner anymore. I'll just usually wear regular Nikes for those because I'm not putting that much pressure on my legs. I'm not running long distances. When I started BBG and started kind of dealing with some knee pain myself, I was told to go get a special pair of shoes that would absorb a lot of shock. So I went to Luke's Locker, like check out your gait when you're running and tell you if you're pronating or whatever. And then I got these Mizuno shoes. They're not cute, but they do the trick. So these are what I wear for BBG, and the rest are just like regular Nike cute ones. Okay, now I'm going back downstairs because we're going to talk food next. That's where my food stuff is. But this next question, somebody else asked, I hate running. Do you have any suggestions on how to start? Start small. Well, I used to be the most pitiful runner. I'd run like half a mile and want to die. But you build up to it. Just get a really good playlist going. If you're really new to running, might I suggest taking some kind of a tread class? I used to take a class in Dallas called Tread, and in Austin there's one called Crush Fitness. It'll really help you build up your endurance for intervals because they make you do sprints and running on incline. Good intro to running if you're new to it. It's really hard though, so just keep that in mind. Okay, this next one is, why and when did you start working out and eating healthy? Sort of the same question as one I answered earlier, but the eating healthy part, that was for losing weight. Easy. I said I finally figured out I couldn't just eat whatever I wanted and still have a good body. So I decided, it was about 2 years ago. It's been sort of a roller coaster ride. There are times when I'm great and I'll eat really well for a few weeks and then I'll like just fall off the bandwagon. Like I said, life's all about balance, so it's okay if there's some ups and downs along the way. The next question is, do you ever make any homemade salad dressing? Probably noticed I've been making salads quite a bit at home lately, and yes, I do, but they're not very sophisticated salad dressing. Like today's salad, I just did balsamic and olive oil mixed together with some salt and pepper on it. And that's a pretty good go-to if there's savory stuff on it. It's something with fruit in it. Maybe I'll do lemon and olive oil. Sometimes I'll do some sort of an apple cider vinaigrette sort of deal. When you do the apple cider vinaigrette, there's got to be some mustard in it because the other day I tried to make it, kind of forgetting I didn't look up the recipe I used to use. And it just had vinegar, lemon, olive oil, put some honey. It was way too watery and way too sweet. But I think if I'd added the Dijon, which I think is what was in it when I first made it a couple years ago, it would have been perfect. Pinterest is a great place to find salad dressing recipes because I never really like the store-bought ones. They always have added sugar and added BS in them. Sort of trial and error. You just kind of have to try and test out new formulas on your own. But balsamic and olive oil is pretty standard over here. Okay, another person asked if I use protein powder, and yes, occasionally. Following along for a while, like before I left for London, you'll know that I love Vega protein powder and I use it in protein shakes. I still use it every once in a while, but like I said before, I'm really trying not to snack, and I try not to have a smoothie or a shake as a meal replacement because I always end up being so hungry later. It's just better to eat your food and chew your food than drink your food. It's like not tricking anyone. If you are going to try a protein shake, you can get this at Whole Foods, Central Market, but it's all leaf-based proteins. You can either throw it in a shake with like almond butter and a banana and almond milk, or just mix it with water or mix it with almond milk. And I used to do that in London when I was. Next question is, do you have any favorite pre and post workout snacks? So I don't work out until I've eaten. I always eat breakfast in the morning. I didn't used to. This is sort of a newer thing. I've just discovered that my body needs more fuel than that if I'm going to be doing workouts like BBG and flywheel. They will kick your ass and you need energy. I almost always do my workouts in the morning unless some crazy schedule change happens. And so I'll wake up an hour before I have to so I can let my food digest. And during that hour while I'm eating breakfast, I'll check my emails, catch up on Instagram, see what's going on. So it's kind of a good time for me to just wake up. And pre-workout, like I said, I don't snack, so I'm making breakfast. So it's either that chia seed pudding I've talked about before, or fruit and some kind of meat. Some days it's eggs, some days it's breakfast sausage, some days it's bacon, just a couple slices. I know that's probably not the healthiest, but it's working for me, and it's delicious. A hurry, or I don't have meat in the house, I have lots of RX bars that I eat. Love having these on hand. I take them when I travel in case there's ever, like if I'm at an airport and there's no good food to choose from, or I'm just starving and need something to eat. I try not to eat them as a meal replacement. Again, it's more just like sustenance if I get really hungry, like if I just had a salad for lunch, or post-workout. Like I said before, while I snacked on these a lot during Whole30, I am not snacking as much. So I haven't been eating these as much, but they are very good for that. A great protein-packed snack that I've always really liked, and I haven't actually posted about these in a while, but you've heard of them before if you've followed me before, the Vermont Smoke and Cure sticks. Basically a cleaner version of a Slim Jim, like a beef jerky situation. There are pork ones, turkey ones, beef ones, in different flavors, but they are all under 100 calories, so it's a quick snack. These pack about 200 calories, so if you're not wanting to consume that much for a snack but just need something, try these Vermont Smoke and Cure. I also, if I'm really hungry and need a snack, really can't go wrong with an apple. Sometimes I'll add almond butter. Yeah, that kind of stuff. A couple of people asked me to do a look at like a food diary. I don't really keep a food diary, but I'm happy to do a blog post on that, what I eat generally, but I'll just give you a little rundown. When I'm home and cooking for myself, generally I stick to a no complex carb, very little dairy, no sugar, aside from like fruit, like real fruit, not dried fruit or anything. So I'm pretty much paleo when I cook for myself. I already told you what I eat for breakfast, but lately I've been having a lot of salads, and then I make that turkey taco mix, and I'll pour that on greens, avocado halves, or put them in lettuce wraps. There's so many ways to use that taco mix. It's actually very versatile. I love it. I make it once a week. For lunch, primarily, I try and make a salad. It's light. I always add a protein. I usually add goat cheese, which is dairy, but I've said it before, goat cheese makes everything taste better. And I used to not be a big fan of salads, and it's still not my favorite thing to eat, but you can make them taste good. For dinner, I'll, like I said, make those turkey tacos. I make cauliflower pasta, which the recipe for that is on the blog. Cauliflower crusted pizza. I'll make chicken or veggies like asparagus or broccoli or Brussels sprout. Also don't drink much during the week, usually never. Although lately I feel like I've been a little bit more social. I had a happy hour tonight, but generally I don't drink during the week because it totally messes up my workout routine, and I'd rather just save that for the weekend. So generally I just don't drink during the week. But I eat pretty paleo when I'm cooking for myself. With that said, whenever I go out with my friends, like I said earlier, I'm not going to eat paleo at restaurants. It like prevents you from eating normal food. Plus, it gives me a chance to treat myself. Working really hard all week on my workouts and being good, I can reward myself with a bowl of pasta or queso. Or the trick is to not continue eating like that, which takes some self-control, and I'm still not there. I still have days where I sort of carb load on the weekends after fun nights out. But again, balance. As long as you're eating great 90% of the time, I feel like being bad on the weekend is okay. Somebody asked, what's something you have as a treat that's not too bad for you? Okay, so if you are on YouTube, you may have seen one of my videos lately where I talk about rediscovering my love of applesauce. You would think just reading the label, unsweetened applesauce, I don't know why I thought that would sound bad, but I got it. And it's so naturally sweet. It's like having a dessert, but it's fruit. So that's great. It's like 70 calories. I also really like apples and almond butter. I'll usually cut up apples and sprinkle them with cinnamon, and then I'll grab some kind of almond butter. I usually like the sweeter kind. If you're doing paleo or Whole30, then obviously get one that has no added sugar, but I'm off Whole30 now, so. Also, sometimes late night, actually, if I've come back here and I'm like trying to be good for late night, I'll have an RX bar. I keep my fridge stocked with fruit. I always have watermelon, berries, cantaloupe. I've rediscovered my love for cantaloupe recently. That's usually what I have for dessert after dinner on the weeknights, because like you've heard me say this before, but I have such a sweet tooth. So now we're getting to the end of the food questions, and I've gotten some messages on Snapchat since I started this, so I'm going to look through those and answer any that haven't been answered. There's another random question that was tagged onto another set of questions and separated. It sounds random, but somebody asked how tall I am. I'm 5'9". It is a good question. Somebody asked me about Flywheel and if I've ever thought about getting a Peloton bike, and the answer is no. I can definitely do the BBG workouts on my own and have committed to doing them. Spin is something I need somebody yelling at me for. Like, I force myself to sit pretty close to the front. Sometimes I'm in the front row, sometimes I'm close to the side, because if I'm hidden in the back, I will half-ass it all the way. With BBG, just finishing the circuits is a job well done, even if you do it really slow. Whereas with Flywheel and spinning, it's up to you to make it difficult and really challenge yourself. You have to put the resistance on the bike, and all of that. Like, I know that there are teachers through the screen on Peloton bikes, but that wouldn't stop me. They can't actually see me. They're not talking to me personally. Know that it would be sort of like a massage chair. It's something you buy thinking you're going to use all the time, and I would never use it. I can totally understand why it would work for some people. It just wouldn't work for me. Okay, this is sort of a food question, but somebody asked me if I prefer turkey bacon or sausage or regular bacon or sausage. Flavor-wise and texture-wise, I prefer the original pork. But I understand why you'd want to use turkey sausage and stuff. My sister loves turkey bacon. I think it's just like a flavor preference. I like the bad stuff. All right, you guys, I've come to the end. I've looked at all the questions. I've answered all the ones on the Google Doc that I created that you guys sent me this week. So I'm going to upload this to YouTube. It may take me a while to get this on the computer since it's such a long file, but it will be available for you on YouTube. Hope I answered all of your questions. If you have any more, definitely you can send me a Snapchat message. You can send me an email. I'm happy to answer emails personally. But yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed the Q&A, and I will talk to you guys later.